until this minute.
He doesn't care.
Well,
He's used to being in front of people, right?
That's what time as a church performer, you don't have to
You can handle it.
You need a tripod.
Okay.
You want me to get up there?
Haircutting is actually. Weren't you in here the last time? I'm like, am I going crazy?
Trying to figure it out.
She really wants to get in depth.
I have 3 boys, a husband and a daughter. Yes, I'm here again.
Yeah, save you a lot of money.
Basic haircuts. So I'm just going to show you the 2 basic haircuts, just a blunt haircut, and I'll kind of show you how to do some bangs, and then just your basic boys haircut. If you get into layers and styles, it's a little bit more complicated, but there really isn't a haircut that you can't just Google and find on the internet, believe it or not. I mean, there's been some newer ones that have come out since I was in school, like the good old side bangs. They scared me to death when they all wanted to start getting side bangs since I didn't know how to do them, so I Googled it. That's how I found out how to do the side bangs. But if there's a particular haircut your kids want, you can search it on the internet. There's tons of websites that show you how to cut hair. Wall, the company that makes clippers, if you go to their website, they have videos of how to use their clippers and how to cut hair. And those are really neat. They give you step by step where you can watch them do it. So, but what I'm going to just show you is just the basics, because it can get really costly. If you've got kids and all they need is their bangs trimmed, a little bit off the bottom or whatever. Some people are talented enough that they can cut their own hair. I can't. It's very backwards to me. My mother has cut her hair for years with a mirror and just another mirror, and she can do it. And I can't cut. I bang to low cut my hair. I chase it and I can't find it. But if you can just learn the basics of it, it can save your family a lot of money. And that's the main reason why I went to school to learn. Is I thought, first, you're in your 20s, you're like, oh, I'll work in this big salon, I'll make all this money, I'll do all the stars' hair. It's not that glamorous. It's a little bit harder to get into a salon where you can really make a lot of money. But my main reason was how much I could benefit my family by knowing how to cut hair. And I really have. I've benefited a lot of families, a lot of extended family and friends, and I enjoy being able to do that for people. But just what we can do within our own family is amazing if you just know the basics, because it really isn't as hard as it looks once you know the steps. The first thing is that everybody's head is shaped different. Part of your hair grows this direction, part of your hair grows this direction. So sectioning the hair off correctly is important, because especially like if you're cutting bangs. Have you ever seen, if you part the hair too far back and then cut bangs, part of the bangs will stick up. And that's because that hair really wants to go the other direction. You're forcing it to go forward. So no matter whose head you're cutting, if you'll just hold their head straight, set a comb on their head, you see where the comb lifts off right here, lifts off her head? You should never cut any farther back than that. That's your guide. Bangs should never go back any farther than that. See where it lifts back from here? That's your back section of hair. So as you're sectioning hair off, you kind of use that as your guide. So if you come across, the first thing you're going to do when you're going to cut a blunt cut for girls is you see where it falls, see where it lifts off the head, right about here? That's where you're going to section it. And inevitably, on everybody you cut, it'll come out right behind their ear. It's just the way your head is shaped. So that you're going to section off, that's the front. Cutting it in sections is important to get it straight, to get it even. Some people think it takes a lot of time, but I'll tell you what, if you want to get it straight, you want to get it right, you need to section off the hair. These little things, you can get a pack of them for $3 at Sally's. They work wonders. So always, even with boys, I section their hair off. I don't put clips in their hair because then they get all embarrassed. But I will section it off just because it just keeps my perspective so that I know what I'm cutting, what direction I should go with it.
My hair's falling on my face.
I'm sorry.
That's what I do.
Yeah, I'll go over here and fix it. She's gonna look really cute.
Y'all gonna laugh at me?
This takes just a second, but it's important. Now, as far as sectioning the back, Carrie, doesn't your hair always fall in that side part?
Pretty much.
Okay.
It usually does.
If your hair has a natural part, you need to go with that. But if it doesn't, always part it in the middle, because then your hair will be even all the way around. So if you want to flip it this way, it'll look fine. If you want to flip it this way, it'll look fine. If you part it on the side and then cut it, and then you know how girls are, they go, and they flip it the other direction, they're gonna have these long hairs hanging out because you cut it, you know, on the side, so that makes this hair a lot longer. So I usually cut it, I will always part it in the middle, unless they're like Carrie where they automatically have a side part. Okay, okay. So I'm going with her part because that's where it falls. Now you want to leave down about an inch of hair for your first cut. It's important to have your hair wet because that's going to ensure an even cut. And also, you only want to bring it down in about inch segments at a time. You cannot grab all the hair and cut it at once because it's too thick. And as you try to cut, your scissors will push the hair out ahead of it. It'll only cut what it can. And then when you get done, it'll be all different lengths. So it won't be even if you just pick up all the hair and try and cut it. It doesn't work. So you bring this down first. Carrie, we need a decision. We need to know how much you want cut.
Well, how bad are the ends? Do they need a lot
Well, I would think, in my opinion, I think we need about 2. Now, some people, you'll ask them how much they want, and they'll say, oh, an inch, 2 inches, and their inch will be, well, you can get these nifty little combs at Sally's that have inch marks on them. So you can look at it and they say, well, I want 4 inches. And I was like, do you realize that that's 4 inches? Because they're thinking, 4 inches. No, that's not 4 inches. This is 4 inches. So I keep these on hand, but I'll do it, especially if they want more than an inch or 2. I can judge an inch or 2, but when they want a lot, I keep these on hand just so that I can measure. If they want 4 inches, then I cut off exactly 4 inches. So I'm going to show Carrie. This is 2 inches, just so you know how much I'm cutting. Is that about right? Okay. Now your first cut is the most important because that's going to be your guide for the rest of the haircut. Okay? If you've got kids that have really kinky, curly hair, I suggest put a little bit of conditioner in your hands, rub it through, and then rub that through their hair, and that'll help it lay nice and smooth while you're cutting it. The other thing you have to consider is if they have curly hair, the length that you have to ask them, what length do you want it when it's fixed and done? Because if they say, I want it to my shoulders, you pull it out straight, cut it to their shoulders. Once it's curled, you lose another inch or 2. So you have to say, when your hair is all finished and all fixed, where do you want it to be? If they want it to the shoulder, then you add an inch or so to that to allow for the hair to bounce back. Okay? I learned that lesson the hard way. I get done, and they're like, oh, this is so short. And I'm like, cut it to your shoulder. So you learned that the hard way. So always check that out first. This is your first cut. This will be your guide through the rest of the haircut. Okay? Your hair is dark. You have to see. Let me get you up just for a second. Turn it just a little bit more so they can see. All right, hair cutting is all about angles. Okay? This first cut, you're always going to bring it straight down. Okay? And then I'll explain the difference in the angles as we bring more hair down. But your first cut, you're always going to bring it straight down. I gotta look at it here for a second. I know some of y'all can't see. If you need to get up and come around where you can see, please do. Because this is the one thing that's really hard to get at an angle where everybody can see. Can we go ahead and